Hello everyone, welcome to Rob's Rogues and the Batman Universe. This is my first video for the Batman Universe for their website. It also houses their podcast, so their link is going to be down here below. They have a lot of cool features on their website, and those of you Batman Universe fans right now, welcome to Rob's Rogues, as I'm working with the Batman Universe and doing a series of reviews. And one of the first new figures that I bought here that we're going to be looking at for the Batman Universe is Nightwing from Batman Arkham City. Here is the packaging. It is the same packaging that we've pretty much received. As you can see, the Nightwing Series 4 collector action figure. It's got the Arkham City famous logo here, and it comes in the clamshell package that has the bat ears, and you can see the artwork. Some of the other figures, we'll kind of move Nightwing out of the way here. The other figures that are in this line in Wave 4 are Deadshot, Talia, a super articulated Batman, and of course Nightwing. Two figures that I bought at the moment are Nightwing and Talia. I'm going to definitely be picking up Deadshot here, excuse me. But I'm not sure I'm going to pick up this Batman, as I already basically have this Batman, which you will see in just a little bit when I do a comparison for Batman and Nightwing here. I'm having a hard time justifying spending the $22 on basically the same exact figure that I've already bought. Granted, he has more articulation points, but it's kind of like if you've already bought the Wave 3 Batman, this one could be a pass, or vice versa. If you haven't bought Wave 3, this might be one to get. So I'm still not totally decided if I'm going to pick up this Batman. I think he looks kind of cool, but he's essentially going to be the exact same figure that I've already picked up. And if I can get this out of here, sometimes these are a little bit harder to get out. And you can see the other figures that they have listed in here is the Titan Joker, which he's going to be about a 13-inch figure, I believe, close to the size of Darkseid, as a deluxe figure from the Arkham City line. And then the Harley Quinn statue that's kind of more in the black and white with just the red highlights on her. So something else you could pick up from DC Collectibles, which is where this is from. So we'll slip that back in here, and we'll bring our subject back up, and that is Nightwing. And this was a figure, once Wave 3 had come out, and that had Ra's al Ghul, I believe, and the Penguin, and just a few other ones, a different looking Batman, that I said at the time of the video that I think this is going to be the end of the Arkham City wave. It would have been really cool if we would have gotten a Nightwing or a Talia, a Commissioner Gordon, or some other people that I had listed. And about the time I finished that review, they had made announcements that a Wave 4 Arkham City line was coming out, and of course, as you can see, they decided to do a Nightwing figure, which I'm really happy about. The only other Nightwing that had come out was from a Mattel, and I have him off to the side, and we'll take a look at him in just a little bit. But I think this is a beautiful looking figure. We'll get a look at the face sculpt here. For any of you that have played the video game, I think this is a really good representation of Nightwing, and his face, I think, looks a lot better than the Mattel face. His head doesn't look like it's 10 sizes too big, but a lot of great work done into the suit. You can see the rivet marks in here that are in his suit. The blue is a nice shiny metallic. I'm hoping the camera can pick this up, and it goes down over his knuckles. Just a really, really good looking figure. A definite welcome addition to the Batman Arkham City line of figures. And the thing that I like the most about it is his Eskrima sticks, I think if that's how these are pronounced correctly, fit on his back, kind of like the DCUC Nightwings does. I wish they were V'd out just a little bit more. As you can see, they're kind of, when they're both in together, they're really kind of in close up here at the handles. If they were just kind of out a little bit more, they kind of V'd like that, I think it might have looked just a little bit better. But again, I'm not going to complain about it too much, because we do have a holster that the Mattel version did not place one. And these are just really detailed as well here. You can see a little hint of the blue in here from where the electricity comes out of the stick, and the nice shading of it almost looks like a gunmetal, where you can kind of see it's worn a little bit from him using it. Kind of goes it from a black to a gray to a silver. Just a really nice piece. And he holds them fairly well too in his hands. His hands are sculpted as such, you kind of have to force them in just a little bit. His thumb kind of bends in when you try and get them, and you just kind of have to pry the hand back a little bit. I got him in once yesterday, and now of course, as I want to show this on film, I can't get it in without bending his thumb back. There we go. So he holds on to them very well. So I think that's really nice that they give us some really good accessories, and they're very accurate to the video games. That's something that DC Collectibles does very, very well, is that the accessories are just as equally as good as the figures themselves. Or we're kind of talking about hands and things like that, we'll look at the articulation. And the articulation on this is borderline kind of new, with the kind of hyper-articulated Batman that is currently out from Arkham City. They've given some of this articulation to Nightwing. So you get a nice range of motion from the ball and socket in the shoulder. You have a swivel at the bicep here, a bend at the elbow, and a turn at the wrist. So some of the figures from like Wave 1, like I'm kind of looking at Robin here off to the side that you can't see. Robin doesn't have, he has the swivel up here, but he has nothing at the bicep, and he only has something at the hand. So that's a nice feature on Nightwing, that you can kind of get him in some more dynamic poses that some of the figures up to this point haven't been able to do. So that's a welcome addition. There's no articulation in the waist, no waist swivel or ab crunch, but a feature that the DC Collectibles doesn't normally have is he has kind of like the Jean-Claude Van Damme kick out to the side, which both legs can get a good range of motion. A little bit of a, split looking type of action. That's as far as the legs will go. So he has the traditional forward and back, which is kind of impeded by his rear end here, so he can't go back quite as far, but he can get up in a decent kick position, and then he has a bend at the foot, or excuse me, bend at the knee, and a swivel at the boot. So a surprisingly good amount of articulation from DC Collectibles that you don't normally get. As I sat him back down, his head does go in a 360, and the only bummer about this figure is if we look at the profile of him, he's kind of looking down, and his hair in the back is kind of preventing him to be able to go fully up. So as he's standing here, I don't know if the camera's able to pick it up, but he is looking down more so than another figure would be. So it's a little bit of a bummer. I guess if you had him on a little higher plateau, he'd look like he's looking down on something. But that is the only real knock I'm going to give to the figure, that they didn't sculpt his hair as such or put the pin in his head for you to be able to get a good range of motion with his head. I feel like his head should be up just a little bit more than it currently is. But still a really, really good figure, and I think a far superior figure to the Mattel figure. There's almost no comparison. Yes, the Mattel has a lot more articulation. This one is a little bit taller. I know some people have been asking why the Arkham City figures were taller than a normal DC UC figure, and that was so they matched the DC Collectibles Batman Arkham City figures. So you could mix and match and go, well, I like the Mattel version of Nightwing better than the DC Direct version of Nightwing, so you could have your Mattel Nightwing standing next to your DC Direct Batman, or vice versa. You could have the DC Direct or DC Collectibles Nightwing standing with a Mattel Batman if that's what you chose to do. But just in the heads alone on these two figures, I think the DC Collectibles is a far superior head sculpt than the Mattel figure. The Mattel figure looks just really long and disproportionate to the body. I do like the paint scheme on the Mattel version just a little bit better as far as the blue goes, but I think the application overall and the sculpting is far better on the DC Collectibles version. And this is one of those times I wish we would have known that this Nightwing was coming out, because I think I might have passed on the Mattel version of the Nightwing. He's an okay figure, but if I was just buying one of these, this definitely would have been the one. And I'm kind of having a little bit of the buyer's remorse syndrome with this Nightwing. After getting this one out of package, this one looks just so much better than this Nightwing. So I think this Nightwing, and plus their sticks, Mattel just reused the sticks from the Solomon Grundy Nightwing wave, and the Bronze Tiger used these same sticks, and we just painted them black. But these Nightwing sticks are so cool looking, as these are just really kind of bland, almost nunchuck type of sticks. So the far superior figure for me is this Nightwing. If you haven't bought this Nightwing yet, you've been kind of waiting to see how this Nightwing looks, I definitely think this is the way to go. And I also say I think he's even better than the DCUC Nightwing that we've received previously in the Solomon Grundy wave. Just a really, really good looking Nightwing. Something I'd like to do is bring up Robin from Wave 1. As you can see, their heights and scales, or height and scale is pretty good to the two. Got the Tim Drake Robin here as he's depicted in Batman Arkham City. I think you can tell just by the way Nightwing is standing now that he is looking down a little bit. I could bend his legs back a little bit, but you can still see that now I've got him kind of in a leaning position. So if he's talking to Robin, it almost looks like he's talking down to Robin. And since we've got Robin up here, we'll also bring up Batman, so we can see Batman and Nightwing and Robin all together in one shot from a DC Collectibles, and I think they look really, really good together. Theirs are kind of standing here. So I think this is a welcome addition. It's nice to see the Bat family together as they would be in the Arkham City video game. I had been reading the bios from the Batman Arkham City video game for the characters. Nightwing was more of an afterthought after the video game had come out. They released a DLC for Nightwing on November 1st of 2011. So the strategy guide had already been out, and there is a bio in the game, and I've just printed the bio from the Batman Wikipedia website, and it says Batman Arkham City Nightwing was available as a DLC as of November 1st, 2011. He includes the playable character in his costume from the new Batman animated series, The New Batman Adventures, and 2 additional challenge maps, Wayne Manor Combat and Wayne Manor Hall, a Predator challenge. While Batman and Robin are in Arkham City, Nightwing defends Wayne Manor from home invaders who are trying to ransack the mansion, taking advantage of the fact that Bruce Wayne is incarcerated in Arkham City. He is playable on all other challenge maps. Nightwing does not make an appearance in the story mode, unlike other playable characters, meaning Robin and Catwoman. So that was the little write-up. That's the same write-up after you unlock the Nightwing challenge map or download. You get this little bio for Nightwing. So I think this Nightwing is a very, very good character and is a nice addition to Batman Arkham City. I would have really liked to have had this Nightwing a little bit earlier in the wave, as again, that would have probably prevented me from buying the Mattel version. It really kind of makes me like this Mattel Arkham City Nightwing less and less the more I see this Nightwing. So I'm only going to probably have one Nightwing on my shelf, and this is not going to be the one. He's going to go in a box. It's definitely going to be this Nightwing. So you can go out right now to your local comic book shops or Amazon or some other online retailers and pick up this very beautiful looking Nightwing. I highly recommend it. So as always, this is Rob for Rob's Rogues and Batman Universe signing off, saying we will see you guys next time.